Every day, you make hundreds of choices. Most of them feel so small, you don't even notice them. You choose what to eat. You choose which message to reply to first. You choose whether to wake up early or hit snooze one more time. You choose to smile at a stranger or keep walking. Then you move on. Because tomorrow, you can choose differently. But imagine waking up tomorrow in a world where every choice was permanent. You choose a career. You can never change it. You choose a city. You can never leave. You say something cruel during an argument. Those words can never be forgiven. You trust the wrong person. That mistake follows you forever. Not because people refuse to forgive you, because reality itself won't allow it. There are no second chances, no resets, no undo button, one decision, one outcome, forever. At first, this might sound like the perfect world. People would think before they acted. Nobody would cheat. Nobody would lie. Nobody would waste opportunities. Every decision would finally matter. Or would it? Because the moment every choice becomes permanent, something strange begins to happen. People stop choosing. Think about your own life. The person you are today probably isn't the person you planned to become. Maybe you studied something you never use. Maybe you dated someone completely wrong for you. Maybe you quit a job that made you miserable. Maybe you moved cities, changed your beliefs, changed your friends, changed yourself. Almost every version of you exists because you were allowed to make mistakes. Without mistakes, would you still become yourself? Or would you remain trapped inside the very first version of who you happen to be? Imagine being 17 years old. Someone places two folders in front of you. One says engineer, the other says artist. Whatever you touch becomes your life forever. No changing majors, no switching careers, no discovering your passion at 30, no starting over after failure. One decision decides the next 60 years. How carefully would you choose? Actually, that's the wrong question. Would you choose at all? Psychologists have known for decades that increasing the importance of a decision doesn't always make people better at deciding. Sometimes it does the opposite. Researchers call it decision paralysis. When the cost of making the wrong choice becomes too high, people freeze. Imagine standing in a grocery store trying to pick a cereal. Now imagine picking the person you'll spend the rest of your life with, knowing you can never change your mind. Most people wouldn't become wiser. They'd become terrified. The fear of making one irreversible mistake would slowly replace the excitement of living. Eventually, people would stop taking risks altogether. Nobody starts a business because failure is permanent. Nobody confesses their feelings because rejection is permanent. Nobody travels somewhere unfamiliar because moving back is impossible. Nobody experiments. Nobody explores. Nobody wonders, what if? Progress has always depended on one extraordinary human ability, the ability to be wrong. Every invention you've ever used exists because thousands of people failed before someone succeeded. Thomas Edison supposedly tested thousands of materials before finding a workable filament. Scientists abandon hypotheses. Writers throw away drafts. Musicians delete songs. Athletes lose championships before winning them. Failure isn't a detour, it's the road. Remove the possibility of changing direction, and suddenly nobody wants to take the first step. But here's the strange part. History suggests humans have never been particularly good at predicting what will make them happy. People dream about becoming famous, only to discover they miss privacy. They spend years chasing promotions, only to realize they sacrificed the relationships they actually valued. They move to the perfect city and feel lonelier than ever. Psychologists call this affective forecasting. It's our tendency to overestimate how happy or unhappy future events will make us. In other words, your future self is often a complete mystery to your present self. Now imagine asking your present self to make decisions that your future self can never escape. You wouldn't be choosing your future, you'd be imprisoning it. And if every choice became permanent, you wouldn't just lose the ability to change your life. You'd lose something much deeper. You'd lose the ability to discover who you really are. But the consequences wouldn't stop with individuals. They would reshape civilization itself, Look around you. Nearly everything that makes modern society work depends on one simple idea. People can change. Businesses fail and try again. Scientists publish theories that later turn out to be wrong. Countries rewrite laws. Doctors abandon outdated treatments. Entire civilizations survive because they're willing to admit, we made a mistake. Now imagine a world where mistakes can never be corrected. Bad governments remain bad forever. Broken laws stay broken forever. One failed economic policy condemns generations. One disastrous war can never be undone through peace. Civilization wouldn't become more stable. It would slowly become trapped inside its first bad decision. Evolution itself works through trial and error. For nearly 4 billion years, life has survived because it never stopped experimenting. A mutation appears. Most fail. A few succeed. Those rare successes become the future. Without failed experiments, there would be no forests, no whales, no birds, no humans. Life exists because nature never demanded perfection on the first attempt. And strangely, your brain works exactly the same way. Every time you learn something new, billions of neurons strengthen some connections while weakening others. Your brain constantly rewrites itself. Neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. It's the reason someone can recover from trauma, learn another language, change lifelong habits, become kinder, become wiser, become someone completely different than they were 10 years ago. In other words, your identity isn't fixed. It's constantly under construction. But if every choice became permanent, identity would become permanent too. The worst version of yourself would never disappear. The immature teenager, the selfish partner, the angry parent, the person who hurt someone they loved, they would all become life sentences. And maybe that's the real horror, not permanent decisions, permanent people. Because when we think about freedom, we usually imagine being free to go wherever we want. But perhaps the greatest freedom we've ever had is the freedom to become someone else. To wake up one day and decide, I'm not that person anymore. Maybe that's why regret hurts so much. Regret isn't proof that your past ruined you. It's proof that you've changed. The person who made that mistake no longer exists. Only the memory does. Without change, regret wouldn't exist. Neither would growth. Every scar you've ever carried tells the story of a version of yourself that didn't survive. And that's a good thing, because humans aren't remarkable for making perfect choices. We're remarkable because we keep making better ones. Maybe the purpose of life was never to avoid mistakes. Maybe it was to learn from them, to rewrite ourselves again and again until the person making today's decisions is wiser than the one who made yesterday's. So, what if every choice was permanent? Perhaps the world would become safer, more predictable, more orderly, but it would also become quieter, less curious, less courageous, less human, because every masterpiece began as a rough draft. Every friendship began with uncertainty. Every civilization was built by people who were willing to risk being wrong. We spend so much of our lives wishing we could erase our mistakes, but maybe we've misunderstood what mistakes really are. They're not cracks in the story. They're the reason the story keeps moving. Tomorrow morning, you'll wake up and make another choice. Maybe a small one. Maybe one that changes your life. The beautiful thing isn't knowing you'll choose correctly. It's knowing that if you're wrong, life gives you another chance to become someone new. Thank you for watching Vinta.